Okay, this is class 4 of Constellations for Individuals. Bunch of folks are here and a few more are going to join us. We did hear from Sarah. She's traveling and she won't be able to join us tonight. But it's good to see y'all. So let's just start out with any questions or shares. If anyone did the Constellations in the Mind practice with anybody. If there were miracle cures, we always want to hear about the miracle cures, or the spectacular failures from which you learned much. We always want to hear about any of those things or questions that you have. Let's just start out with that. Some shares or questions. Raise your hand if you got one. Utena, go for it.
Hi, everybody. I think I would like to share what happened this week since our last constellation. So I honestly didn't think about it, and I didn't think it was possible. But usually, because of everything that's happening, I look at everything. I don't really look at the sugar, but rice and everything that will turn into sugar. And I didn't this week, and really my stomach feels better. I'm still not changing the diet because the fat affects it very much and the protein, but I honestly can say that it's the beginning of the healing. I honestly can say it's the light, I think, at the end of the tunnel or something like that. So as I'm saying it so quietly because I really wanted to continue. But okay, now I'm gonna own it and I'm gonna say it loud voice. I really felt a shift, Leslie. So thank you very much.
Good for you. Good creating. Well done. And let that be encouragement to all of you. I mean, we did kind of a slice of a piece. It's not like, there were some things we still could have pursued and we didn't because it was a demo. And sometimes that little slice is all you want to do. Part of the art of this work is feeling when you've done enough. And that's a very challenging thing because having done enough is not always the same as it looking all resolved. So thank you for that feedback, Putina. Congratulations. I'm glad for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any other shares or questions? By the way, Jack, are you that 463? Yes, the 463 number is you? Okay. Still not a phone number, though. Are you calling in on a phone, Jack? We can't hear you, unfortunately. Because I think this is the same one who's calling in who isn't you. And I'm a little inclined to ask it to go away again. So I'm going to have this one leave, okay? Okay. So any other questions or shares, experience from the practice that you've done in the last week, hopefully? Anything? Or it doesn't even have to be relevant to our topics. Francina, yes, I've got you unmuted. We can't hear you. I don't know if it's the earbuds or what. No. You need to pull it out. If you're not going to use it, yeah, just pull it out of the computer.
And
yeah.
now?
There you go.
Me now?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, good. Okay. Yes, I did I started a visualization in the context of a training that I'm doing. So one of the participants started to talk about her mom and how she was blaming her for putting her down. So this lady was starting to go into the story and talking. So I asked her to stop and to connect and we started the visualization with the mother. Standing in front of her, and I started to guide her. How is your body feeling when you are in front of your mother? What is the distance? And then I asked her what's happening in your mom. So I asked her to step in to the mom's position, and she somehow she couldn't connect with her. So what I did is easier for me to do, because we were in a group, in a training, and that day was to work with personal issues with representatives. I extended it with representatives. Yes, but I can recognize there my own belief that I can go deeper with representatives than with individual.
Interesting. Yeah.
So again, it was nice. I think that was very helpful for her, and because it was in this context, I didn't go further with the visualization, because I thought that it could help better to do the constellation with representatives.
Well, and one other thing I want to say, and I'm going to mute you because we're getting the echo, is that sometimes that's true. I mean, one of the things with having all these different approaches available is being aware, doing this thing in the mind or doing this thing some other way, there's another way that will work better. And so it could be us dealing with the belief that this approach doesn't work well, and we want to challenge that. Or we could be quite right. I've definitely sort of started out with a new client to Constellations and doing kind of the footprint approach. And they are really wigged out by bodies and moving around and whatnot. And we just have to sit in our chairs. We just have to sit in our chairs and she'll be okay. So I'm going to trust that you came up with the right answer there. Yeah. And sometimes we do want to push ourselves against our growing edge, but ultimately we're about being in service to our clients. Yeah. Thank you. Jack, I just want to communicate with you for a second. I see your iPhone. We're not hearing you over the computer.
You not hear me?
I can hear you now. Is that 463-155-323-U?
Yes, that's my desktop that I don't have a camera on. And I have a tablet. And I'm using my iPhone because there's lag. I can't, a lot of time it cut out because I don't have a stable communication.
Okay. So you need
I got three devices.
Okay. I will leave it to you to figure out how to deal with the breakout rooms, okay? With three different, I'm not quite sure I can figure out how to organize all that, but I'll leave that to you and your technological wherewithal. I am going to mute your phone, however, so we don't get the
I can.
just so that, okay, great, thank you. Any other shares or questions? Amy.
I can do a share. So this is sort of funny, I guess. I did an individual constellation, but the person wasn't really comfortable with imagery, so we ended up using dish towels of all things. But it worked. I mean, I just put him on the floor and, stepped in. So I just thought that was humorous.
It is humorous. It's great. Nisha, you were going to share something?
Yeah.
I got you unmuted.
So I decided to do one of the constellations in the mind, and I basically used the meditation format to do it. So it was a thing that I wanted, and then I brought my mother in. I brought my father in, and the resource that he would need, because I felt like the thing that I wanted had some limiting beliefs, especially like from my parents. So So yeah, so I did it. So I did the constellation of the mind with the meditation format, and it seemed to work really well.
Great, excellent. I'm glad you guys are all sort of playing around with this stuff. Well done, congratulations. Okay, I'm going to mute you, Nisha. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to give a very, very short talk here, and then we're going to leap into our main theme of the day, which is working with figurines. I want to say a few words about thinking systemically, which is really the key to becoming a masterful constellator. And it's something that you just develop by doing it over and over again. And then what you find is that you're that person in a meeting or in an organizing team or a business who always says, you know, from the systemic point of view, you become that person because you just kind of go there. And I really do think of it as a type of intelligence. Now, you know, they have emotional intelligence and other kinds of intelligence. And I really do think that being able to look at something and pop out of the personal issues into the systemic point of view is a real type of intelligence. Okay? So, it really is a situation of, instead of assuming it's about me, or it's about you, or it's about him, right? People who think systemically are asking what's going on in the system, right? The classic situation is to say the parts of a system add up to something greater than the mere sum of the parts. Yeah, I got to mute everything here because we're still getting these little echoey things with you, Jack. So I've just got them all muted right now. And this notion that the system is an entity in and of itself. Yeah. Every piece of information can become a portal into the system itself, right? So not only, you know, wow, people seem cranky today, or there's an odd sadness in the air, but, you know, the funny interruptions that you would just explain as accidents, or the one-time events, you begin to think of as, how might this be the system expressing itself? Systemic intelligence understands that most of what is running systems is unconscious, right? Or invisible, we might say, in simpler terms. It's just kind of invisible. Family constellations adds in a special extra insight, which of course is the orders of love. So the more systemically intelligent we get, the more we're just noticing, this thing that belongs is not being included. Or someone who's junior in the system seems to be trying to run the show. Or, you know, those kinds of things you just start to notice from the orders of love. There's an imbalance in the giving and taking here. I'll just give you an example. For several years, I used to work at Meals on Wheels of San Francisco. That was my last proper job. I had one assistant. I was the volunteer coordinator at Meals on Wheels, and I had one assistant. And kind of the minute I hired her, we were at each other's throats. It was 3 years of just like, just one of those relationships. And although I never really did fix it, I was aware that somehow we were in each other's constellations. I just knew it wasn't about any particular thing either of us had done to piss the other off. There was something we were projecting, or in a systemic thing we were in together. Some more examples that are more pertinent to our practice. If you start to get angry at a client or at a representative, anyone here willing to admit to this? To getting a little cranky? Yeah. Like, why are you not playing with the game? Why are you still blaming? Why are you still evading responsibility? Yeah? That's usually my little thing. When that happens, it's worth asking if that's something in the system that you are now representing. right? About every 10th constellation I facilitate, there's a movement in the system to agree, everybody agree that this one role is to blame for everything. Even if they kind of are, because they're a perpetrator, yeah, it's not helpful for the system. And it's really useful to notice when you are getting on the bandwagon of this person who committed incest, or this person who is an SS officer, or whatever they might have been, yeah? Another one is if a representative is being uncooperative in some way, is again to ask the question of what's going on systemically here. What is coming through in this uncooperative person that you have right now? If you're thinking systemically, then you'll never see it as a problem, and you can figure out some way to work with it. Now here's the bonus. When you point to the possible systemics of something that's going on in a constellation that's starting to stress out the group, and this does happen, yeah? Like, you know, one of the representatives is really suffering or is being particularly difficult. When you name it, it tends to calm the group down and become more tolerant of and curious about the situation. And that helps the whole constellation when the whole group can do that. I had a very strong example of this a couple of years ago when there was a very difficult mother, just really very perpetrative, very abusive, unwilling to shift in any way, blaming everybody else. Just a really difficult character. And all of my moves were not working. Nothing was working. Trying to include her, trying to deliver some sentences to her, giving her support. Nothing was working. She was just really in her thing. And I sat down and I turned to the whole group and I said, if anyone in this circle is needing this woman to be anything other than the way she is right now, I ask you to let it go. And something went in the room, and then the roles started to change, right? Because the whole system was in on her needing to be different. And of course it's going to resist that, right? So if you're thinking systemically, and you're holding things systemically, and by that I even mean the group you're working with, if you're working with a group, never forget, you're working in systems. You're working in systems. It's never just a person. And this will really, in that space, they're just continuous gifts for us in terms of finding unexpected resolutions and movements. Okay? So that's that whole lecture. Any questions about thinking systemically? Any shares before I move on to talking about figurines for the day? And just to reiterate, this is a muscle. You will exercise it and it will grow in time. It's just one of those things. Yeah, Francine, I've got you unmuted.
Last Saturday with this group of trainees, we did a constellation where the client wanted to get some clarity in a relationship with an ex-partner. And we started the constellation. And during the interview, she said like 3 or 4 times the word confusion. So we set up the constellation, and both representatives going like chasing each other and changing positions all. And so I waited and waited, and then I entered the field, and I realized that I was in the confusion myself. So I said it, and I stepped out of the field, if we can step out of the field.
Right.
And
yeah.
I brought up someone who was actually sitting already inside, and I asked this lady to stand up, and I didn't say who she was representing, but for me it was the solution. And then from there, things could shift.
Yeah. Good job. Perfect.
But it was interesting to realize that I was confused myself, so I had to stand back.
When in doubt, it's a pretty good assumption that if something's coming up for you in a constellation, that it's an aspect of the client system. And I would assume that until you're proven wrong. That's usually a pretty useful assumption. Every once in a while it's not. It's like you and your personal history or something like that. But even then it's coming up for some reason. So good job. Excellent. Any other? Great. Irina, you're unmuted.
So, okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I have a question. So the systemic view thing, is it how you always work with clients? Like if somebody comes with anxiety and you, okay, so this is just
like a framework when I sit down and I start to listen, I'm feeling the systemics.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. And that may mean I work more explicitly. I may start to interview them about family.
Okay.
Or it may just be more implicit.
Do you find that
sometimes I go more in my NLP direction, which is more the personal childhood piece. Mm-hmm. But even then, even that's systemic.
Yeah.
It's just more close. It's closer history.
Yeah. So it's mostly all issues can be tied to.
Everything's systemic. Nothing is separate from the whole.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing. The question is, which subsystem are you being called to look at?
Right.
Right?
All right.
So
there's lots of options.
When you're in the space of physics, physics like 101 is which system are you looking at? Are you looking at the atom? Are you looking at the molecule? Are you looking at the cell? Are you looking at the body? Yeah. You can look at everything, but that tends to be kind of unuseful. So figuring out, am I looking at an ancestral piece? Am I looking at the body of the client? Am I looking at something intrapsychic? The internal parts that maybe got fragmented in trauma or something? Is it really historic, like parental and a memory? Or is it, are we connected to more national themes, historical themes, country themes? So choosing your system is actually one of the interesting challenges of the work. Yeah?
Right.
Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's leap into this figurines work. So I'm going to do a share screen. Oh, before I do that, I want to share an experience. So the first time I saw figurine work, I apologize, I cannot remember the woman's name. She did a workshop at the Constellations conference in San Francisco in 2011. Probably here I ought to plug the Virginia conference coming in October. If you can get to the Constellations conferences, which are every other year, I really recommend it. It's like going to the Constellations buffet. And I always come away with 5 or 6 new things I can really use. And it's just a nice community to be with. They're just a really positive group of people to hang out with. I always enjoy my time. And the San Francisco one was the first one I went to, and I probably took at least 10 things home that I still use today from that conference. And one was this one where she used figurines. She used the Playmobil figurines, which I'll show you in just a second, common in certain circles. And basically the workshop was her doing one constellation for one of us. And it was a Ukrainian woman who had some issue. I don't remember her issue. But it, as you can imagine, it eventually came to World War II and all the dead in Ukraine. And she had a bunch of Playmobil figurines one of the nice things about these figurines is that they are articulated so that they can stand, they can bow, they can sit, and they can lie down, which is kind of a nice quality in these figurines. And so she had a bunch of them in the war, and I don't know, about an hour into it, the moment for them to be dead arose. And she very slowly and very beautifully like folded them down on the ground. I mean, really, she just took such care. Like one and down on the ground. Some of them were children, down on the ground, until they were about ground on the tabletop, which we were all kind of peering over each other's shoulders to look at. Another one down on the ground. There's about 10 of them, and I was sobbing. And I went, I think this is effective. I think we're having a constellation. I think we're having an absolutely, totally effective constellation here. Who knew? I will admit that this is not my strength, but it is, for some people, it's just the best way for them. And I invite you to work with it to see if it can be a strength of yours. Because for some people, it's just the best way that they found. So now I'm going to share the screen. Come on. And I will start here with just the online store. This is Hellinger, DC. It's the Hellinger Institute of DC. They've been around a really, 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 really long time. Susan Ohlfelder. They have all the books, all the things that you would ever want to buy about constellations, and they have these different things. I noticed that they have these floor maps in the shapes of men and women, and some of them are children and some of them are adults. But here are the Playmobil set that you can order. I don't like that they're all white. This bothers me. And I don't like that all these things are male and female either. In this day and age of non-binary genders, I think the consultation thing of kind of European male-female binary is part of the baggage we're carrying. And then they also have, I rather like better, Carola Castillo, who, by the way, I'm doing an interview with next week online. She has these little multicolored figurines. So they're kind of different colors and they're different sizes. So, and you don't need to buy these things. Do not think you need to buy these things, okay? I will give you options. So, why use this approach? First of all, if it's a strength for you, if it's just one of the things you do well, you like little figures, that sort of stuff. It can add a certain concreteness to the work. It really can be remarkably evocative, given what I shared about the Ukrainian war. Many therapists are already doing Sandtray therapy. So for a certain set of sort of clinical psychotherapists, it's already using, they've got like 10 shelves filled with dragons and people and horses and dogs and little figures. And so this just fits in really well. It also can be especially good for clients with physical challenges, in terms of not doing the footprint stuff, perhaps. What does this approach require? A tabletop, some kind of clear constellation space, usually done in person, so both of you can manipulate the objects, which is kind of cool. You can reach out and you can both move things around. However, it really can work well online, and we're going to do that in a second. It can be kind of challenging if you're just going to be on the phone, because then you have to report everything out. And it requires some kind of objects. Types of objects, I've already gone over. Playmobil, whoops. Stones, variety of figurines. In the last class, the last time I did this class, I had someone who had a vast collection of crystals that he used. And someone else had a collection of little jars of flower essences. Yeah, so she would use those. But you can use spoons. You can use your grandma's antique thimble collection. You can just use what's laying around, you know. What does this approach add? If you take to this approach, it can be a really personal way of doing in the work. And what do I mean by that? Again, for the person who had the flower essences, she has a thing with flower essences. So for her to use those in the constellation context, she's bringing her knowledge of the symbolism and the meaning of those. And for some people, this can really be juicy. It can be a way of you being your kind of facilitator. The other thing that this approach adds, and this is a nice added value, it's similar to constellations in the mind, because you're not limited to a human figure, a person. The symbolism of the objects can end up meaning something. So, I don't know, a rosemary versus lilac, you know, whatever. Sometimes that you chose one for your mom and one for your dad can bring in more evocative meaning. You and your client can do it together. The other thing is that it tends, my experience is it slows things down and allows the two of you together to look at the arrangement in a reflective way. So it has that quality. Considerations: who interacts with the objects, how and when. So you might just want to think about, you know, do you tell your client, just let me know before you're going to move something, or do you let them just move things higgledy-piggledy? You know, how do you want to do that? Does only one of you, both of you at any time? The symbolisms of the objects, there are pluses and minuses of having objects that look different. Sometimes the neutrality of the object is useful, and sometimes the non-neutrality is useful. The receptivity of your client to this approach can be a nice fit for people who have home altars, collect objects, are attached to symbolism, etc. Others can find it challenging. Okay. Remember, however, to stay in the constellations frame. This is one thing I've noticed, is that with this kind of approach, people can get off course and start doing, I don't know, pure inner child work and kind of forget the orders of love or other kind of systemic considerations. So remember to stay in the constellations frame, thinking systemically and with the orders of love. Okay? So, what I want to do now is I want to do a short demo. Okay? So someone new who has not had a demo yet, have an issue that you would like to do for about 10 minutes or so with me. Nisha. Okay.
So I guess maybe we can work on I'm single, and I would at some point like to have a family, and so you know, so something around partner, what I need to do to get to the, I don't know. It's very confusing, Leslie.
Okay. How old are you?
Oh, officially I am 38 as of last week.
Cool. And if you have a pattern with relationships, by now you've noticed it. What is it?
Is that I'm not in them.
You really haven't been dating or seeing anyone for a really long time?
No. So I did a session with Carl, and he said that takes a lot of work to have avoided a relationship for this long.
Yeah. He said something similar to me a number of years ago.
There you go. So I think we're well matched in this, perhaps in this mini constellation here.
Okay. Okay, I'm not going to do more of an interview. I'm going to let it be. Okay, so I'm going to shift the webcam off of me. those of you who are listening, and you, Nisha, as well, might want to go on a speaker view, because you're going to want to see what I'm doing maybe a little bit bigger. So that upper right-hand corner toggle, and I'm going to move it, and here's what I'm going to do, okay? So I'm a rock collector. I actually have a bit of an addiction, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to use the tabletop right here, okay? Nisha.
Yes.
Could you choose a stone for yourself, please?
Hold on. Let me just miniaturize myself. I'm pointing and you can't see it. So the second row, the one in the middle. Yes. No. Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to put it there. Actually, I think it feels kind of over there. Do you want a stone for a potential partner or for a family?
So the partner one is the one on the really at the top, the brown note. Sorry. Yeah, that one. That's the partner one. And then the family one is that one. I'm sorry, I'm pointing and you obviously can't see. The weird one at the very bottom. Nope. Nope. Nope, at the bottom.
I don't know which is bottom from your point of view.
Okay, the opposite direction that you're in. That one, yeah, that one. That's family.
Okay. Okay, so I've just somewhat intuitively placed these in a way that felt good to Leslie. So just take a moment.
So there's another stone over there. That's my sister.
What's important about your sister?
I have no idea. Oh, yes, I do know. She's the one, she broke the cycle. So even though we were raised in the same family, she has been in 2 long-term relationships and one that's going really well right now. So okay. In some ways, she's broken the cycle.
Okay, so I'm going to hold off on that for just a moment, okay?
Okay.
Just for a moment, feel this. You, potential partner, potential family.
Mm-hmm. It feels like the potential partner is looking away and I'm looking towards it, but it's looking away from me. No, it was already looking away. It was like, yeah, it was exactly, yeah, like that. So it's like looking at an angle. So maybe it can see me from the corner of its eye, but like in the way it's positioned, it's pointing towards you, I feel.
So what's really interesting is that you and I are having really different experiences of this.
Huh.
Because I really experience him as looking at you, but the experience over here so far for me is you're closer to a potential family than to a partner.
Well, so the family was my family.
Okay, I need to pull this back. Because what I meant, what you said, I want to have a family.
Yes.
You didn't say you wanted a potential partner. You said you wanted a family. That's why I asked if you wanted to bring in a family or a potential partner.
Oh, okay. Because that rock was my family.
Yeah, then we'll put that back. Well, by the way, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a little bit like whether we're in the same land that Guy was in on the first weekend,
the
first class. So we might keep this here. Choose one for your future family.
The one closest to you.
This one?
Nope. 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 Yes.
Ew. What are you? I don't know what that is. That just rolled right into the scene.
That wasn't one I picked.
Yeah, it just rolled right in of its own accord. So I'm going to invite you to just slow down a little bit, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Feel this field a little bit. What I'm noticing is that you're between family of origin and future family.
Mm-hmm.
And I notice there's something else, there's something with meaning over here. Next to the potential partner.
I wonder if that's an already existing child.
No, it is not. Don't think too literally about this. This is a meaning in your system, not his. It's not literal, so because we're doing your constellation, not his.
Mm-hmm.
And so the meaning is there's something he's more interested in or closer to than you.
Mm-hmm.
So just take a moment and feel yourself into yourself here. You might even close your eyes.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. It feels like there's some anxiety and some
Yeah.
nervousness.
So I'm going to have you turn and face your family.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have you say the words that you that I had Guy say a while ago. Dear
Mm-hmm.
family,
Oh, dear family,
thank you for my life.
thank you for my life.
When I have a new family,
When I have a new family,
they will come first.
they will come first. Feels like there's more room for me to breathe too.
Yeah. That felt very available. It just really needed to be set on the record in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like the partner rock is turning towards me. Like I feel like I'm more like I feel like I'm more visible now.
So I'm going to try and avoid interpretations here, but I want to try and clear this up.
Okay.
So can you just say to whatever this is, I see you and you're important.
I see you and you're important.
Okay, so I'm going to move something here. I want you to feel this in your body. Tell me what you feel.
Oh, I don't like that. No, I don't like that.
In what way do you not like that?
So when I said the phrase, it didn't feel really true.
Okay.
Like there was like it just didn't feel completely true. And then the closer that thing came to me, the more it was not quite, something is off.
What was untrue about the I see you, you're important didn't feel correct?
so the ICU is okay. There's something about you're important. Like, I think maybe there's an unwillingness for me to say that, or to accept that. Actually, it seems, if I'm really keying in, I think there's a resentment around you're important.
Yeah. Thank you. That's really important. Give me a second. I'm just feeling into something here. That was such important information. Thank you. Can you say to this one, I need my own place?
I need my own place. That feels good.
Yeah. This is something that this is something that belongs to the family.
Yeah. Can I add something?
Sure.
So I need my own place, and I honor the place you once held.
That's good.
Yeah, that feels better.
And then can you say to your family, which means more than just your family of origin, but your ancestors, I leave it with you.
I leave it with you.
Now I feel like there's room here. I don't know what this, you may have a guess about what this is. We don't need to say it out loud. But this feels like the movement, like moving this to where it actually belongs and giving it a place of honor there. Leaves this one free to move.
Yeah, I think I have a feeling of what it could be.
Yeah, we'll leave that to you.
Mm-hmm. It's such a cute little triangle.
And then you can turn to them and say, when you arrive, you will be first.
When you arrive, you will be first.
And then you'll point at them and say, that's my family.
That's my family.
How are you feeling right now?
I feel good. Way better than when that other rock moved. I knew something was off there, but this feels actually really good.
Well, and the off was actually a necessary tension. It was to bring something to the surface that's actually always been there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good point.
That's why I didn't immediately send it back. I'm like, oh, that's the thing. We actually have to make it worse before we can make it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's important for us to remember, right?
Right.
Sometimes when we do this work.
Right. One of the things that Carl Buchheit will sometimes say to a representative is, find the spot in the room that's least comfortable or most uncomfortable for you.
Mm. Yeah.
So shall we leave it there for now?
I think so. Yes. Thank you.
The representatives may leave their roles. Okay. Any questions about that? So that was a fairly, I mean, as the demos are, a slightly minimalist piece of work. But questions about that without diving into Nisha's personal history?
I have a question.
Sure.
So are you stepping into each one of those rocks and saying, oh, what is this? Or are you just kind of feeling the dynamic? What is the...
I'm doing, mostly I'm feeling the whole. Like, oh, this wants to go here, that wants to go there, this wants to go there. I'm feeling that. And then it's necessary, I'm stepping into individual ones.
Okay.
So I really only stepped into you and into that other thing that didn't get a name. And that's what led me to that was, for me, that was what was really obvious. If that were, even if that were people or in our heads, the thing between you and that one who rolled in, that was the important thing. That was where I was placing my attention. And I wasn't stepping into all the roles. One could do that. There's no reason not to. In particular, I wanted you to step into your role. But one could, say, step into your mom, step into your dad, step into money, or whatever the representations are, if you thought it would help the client. What I was working with a little bit was that, because it was Nisha's constellation, I had to work with her a little bit to help her stay with the systemics of it, rather than move to quick stories about what the relationships meant. And I checked in. She said, I see my sister, and I just had a really strong, I want to honor that she sees her sister, but I think that's a distraction. I think that's going to take us off course. And there's an interesting thing there, if she's the one who's broken the cycle, that's an interesting meaning, by the way. And what's the relationship between Nisha and her sister, and who gets to have a relationship in this family? I mean, there's a lot there that's really juicy and possibly quite relevant. But for this little piece, I just thought it felt like there's this thing Francesca Mason Boring calls, God, what did she call it in that article? Did she call it a ghost? Can't remember what she called it. But she says sometimes, and this was happening earlier, but she says sometimes when you're getting towards the end of a constellation and things are starting to get into order, one of the representatives will start to reignite all of their distress. And she says you really need to watch out for that, because sometimes that's the system trying to undo the change you just did. And you can't let it. And it's understandable. I mean, the system has been stabilized the way it's been for a reason, right? There's an intended positive around that. So I felt a little bit like it was a little bit of a red herring. And if I had a longer period of time with Nisha, I'd probably follow it and see what it was about and why it was important. Yeah. Other questions or comments? Did everyone? Oh, go ahead, Irina. I've got you unmuted.
Okay, so that's really interesting, the way that, so the stone that represented a really important piece just rolled out by itself. I just want to, I mean, so in my mind, I was like, well, what if that wouldn't happen? What if I didn't have stones and I had squares and they couldn't roll out? Or it's
the field is another. I'm sorry, I'm quoting Francesca Mason Boring like crazy. She says the field is efficient.
Okay.
It will work with what you've got. You'll knock it in the way, or there won't, and you'll come at it another angle.
Yeah. So that's good for me to know that, because if I did the constellation and the stone will roll out, maybe I'll put it back. I'll be like, oh, sorry, it rolled out. I'll put it back.
That's the thinking systemically piece from before.
Yeah. And so the stone stayed by the partner, but it really belonged to original family. And so in a way, Nisha was projecting it or attributing it, or it's not relevant to know that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd put it in the most simple language. It's part of the meaning of Nisha's system. How do we know that? Because we're doing Nisha's constellation.
Right.
We don't have this guy named Tom, who is Nisha's future partner, having his constellation done. So it is a meaning in Nisha's system.
Okay, yeah.
So for instance, very frequently when I'm doing money constellations with people will ask the question, well, is that you know, is that what money means or is in the world? And I'm like, no. When you, like, say we do a constellation with Francine and money, whatever the representative for money shows up, it's the meaning of money in Francine's system. Okay?
Okay.
It's not some objective, neutral, universal.
Right.
That kind of stuff can show up in, say, a social issues constellation when no one person is a client. But if you're having a client with their constellation being done, I mean, this is something to remember, even if you're dealing with their mother. It's the meaning of their mother in the client's system. We're not dealing with some objective meaning about the mother. It's always with reference to the client. This is something Francesca was underlining as well in the training I went to a few weeks ago. It's always the meaning in the client's system. This is why you don't even have to be, in some sense, woo-woo about it. You don't have to claim anything about the ancestors. It should just be, we're somehow eliciting my meaning of my great-grandfather in World War II. Mm-hmm. You don't need to get mystical about it. I do. Yeah. I prefer.
Right. It doesn't have to be real. Like real.
Yeah. Okay. It's real inside of me, inside the system that surrounds me, and it is part of me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Hi, go ahead.
Yeah. So I get the validity and truth of, you know, the perspective that you're offering with respect to, you know, it's somehow connected to and a, you know, something within or for Nisha, you know, and at the same time, the fact that it rolled in close to the representative for her potential partner, I thought, and the fact that she had the feeling of not liking it being there, you know, I made different meanings, which I kind of pinged to you privately, and, you know, and I just was like, you know, I don't know. I'm just curious about what had you go down to, oh, it's something else or whatever, rather than.
So number one, I have this presupposition that it's the meaning in the client's system. And so let's say we have Leslie and her potential partner show up, okay? Leslie's representative reports back, and then my potential partner reports back and says, I don't like her, she scares me, and I want to go in the other direction. That's the meaning of a potential partner in me. That, you know, we're not getting rarefied data about a guy I'm going to date in the future, because that's what we want to interrupt and change, right? But somehow there's a meaning for Leslie that's what a partner would be like, right? And so I extend that to other things that might show up, right? Because the question wasn't, was she single, that seems stuck? Why can't, you know, I would like a relationship. And the problem can't be that he has a child, because that's not a problem. Nisha, I assume you'd be happy if you fell in love with the right guy if he had a child, right? If it was the right person, it's not a problem. So we have to be, what's showing up in the constellation has to be relevant to the issue. And so somehow it's connected to the ongoing singleness. Yeah. The other, so that's one set of, and that's the only thing that's useful for Nisha, because, you know, I mean, we'd be grand if she fell in love with someone who had a cute little kid, you know, and then they'd have another baby, and, you know, it'd be awesome, right? Yeah, that's awesome. The other thing is that I really, really, really warn us against getting into constellations to try and do prophesying. Future prediction. I really warn against this. Not only because I don't think that's because the dignity of decision-making is ours. It's always ours. It belongs to us. And so it's not like, am I destined for New York, but do I choose New York? is really, you know, in terms of my life. This came up really strongly in a constellation recently. Jeff, I assume you were there, in which a couple showed up very, very on the fence about adoption, whether they should adopt someone or not. And what we did was we explored all of the systemics, and we made some adjustments, and we addressed some things that were out of order and imbalanced. But we did not, you know, take the constellation to them holding an adopted baby in their arms. Why? Because they still need to leave and make that choice. Adopting a child has way too much weight for both them and the child for them to let a constellation make up their mind for them about that, right? I mean, that makes me damn nervous of being in charge of setting up a constellation where they go, oh, well, the constellation told us we ought to adopt. And then it goes bad or what? I don't know. I mean, so I really, really warn us against thinking about constellations as a really simple kind of prophesying, which is why I'm totally skeptical of the idea that the field is going to tell us that Nisha's future partner definitely has a child. That just, so, yep. Okay, Nisha, go ahead.
Constellation done once where this woman was trying to get pregnant, and so they kept trying to arrange it so that the child, like the representative for the child, would want to come. Right. Is that also something that you would kind of would not feel comfortable with, or is that kind of more of an okay thing?
Oh, it's okay for that and for the adoption version. We ended it with the potential adopted child much happier about looking at these two people. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was all feeling much better, but I just had to keep on saying, because I think this couple was like waiting for me to say, yes, you should adopt, you know? Mm-hmm. There's still a decision of great dignity that is not mine, right? And of weight for them and for the child. So yes, and we need to be open to the possibility that the constellation you're seeing is going to reveal something about maybe not. Mm-hmm. I remember years ago, this was actually a really powerful constellation. A woman who was sort of on the late end, she wanted a baby, but she had enormous physical difficulties with her reproductive system that actually put her life at risk, but she still wanted a baby. So we went through the whole thing, and I was just over and over getting the message of that the needing a child was about something other than this woman ought to become a mother. And that was coming through really, really strongly. And so we need to be willing to allow the constellation to bring us to our heart's desire and knowing and the properness of things, and not necessarily confirm a particular decision we're wanting the constellation to confirm for us. Mm-hmm. And I would be very, very careful about being enrolled in that kind of a task. I mean, Guy, you know, in NLP, we do the same thing. We're never, you know, someone says, I want to win the lottery for $1 billion. And you're like, well, let's see what we can do with that. You know? Right. We'll see if that's part of your dignity, or if there's actually something more important at stake here for you that's about what you really want to in life. Yeah. Someone else, was it Arena who had their hand up? Yeah, Arena.
Yeah, I just wrote it in chat, but I wonder what you think about Bert Hellinger doing that, like, oh, you should divorce.
Bert Hellinger is just an ongoing set of exceptions. Okay. On two levels. One is that we really do need to understand, this is the way I understand Bert Hellinger. And please don't be offended by this, but for me it's evocative. Bert Hellinger is a shaman straight out of the forest with a bone through his nose. he's a little terrifying in exactly the way those village shamans are supposed to be. When you go to see those shamans, they tell you to do, like, okay, you need to go roast a goat and, you know, go for a 2-month walk and, you know, and then you'll be right with the gods. That's I mean, and he has that much weight and that much experience and that much disciplined engagement with the eternal, that he really is. None of us here, I don't think any of us have this destiny. Maybe 1 or 2 of us is thinking that somewhere down the road, if I do this for another 10 or 15 years, I might have that weight and that authority. But most of us are more in the realm of being therapists, you know, in that space. Alternative healers, coaches, that kind of thing. And even if you are in the more shamanic space, most of us here are still kind of apprentices, really, compared to Bert Hellinger, right? And so none of us should try to imitate Bert Hellinger around this kind of, I was once at a Bert Hellinger thing, and this guy sat down, and the issue was addiction, and there was this gorgeous, short little constellation between him and his dad. It was so beautiful, tears coming down my face. And when he was all done, Guy, and Jack, you're both going to love this. Bert turned to him and said, "Now you must shave your beard." Because apparently for him, beards are all about not accepting the Father. Guy. And I'm like, and the guy went, okay. And you know, the next day he went home and shaved his beard. You know, he did it. That's not us. That's not, I mean, we can't even begin to reach for that level of authority. Some of us I'm still not at the place. Every once in a while I bring my weight to kind of really, you know, you'll see me do it in demos here every once in a while, like, no, we're not going to look at that. Or, yes, I think that, you know, I'll bring some of that weight that you're talking about, but it not in terms of, I'm really with Stefan Hausner, and this is something that Cecilio Regojo says at great length. He's very big on this, and I respect this, is that he basically doesn't do resolutions at the end of constellations. And his reason is I mean, you know, is that the decision and the doing is still after the constellation. They still need to go off, right? And do that thing. And that we shouldn't try and take that agency away from people. Now, I'm a little bit more in the middle, but still I appreciated that perspective. And he's mostly in the space of organizational constellations where there are concrete tasks following, you know, for a team or a whatever, following a constellation. But, you know, if he did one with a potential partner, he would never have the happy reunion at the end, because he would say, you know, you still need to go out and do the connecting and embracing. We can't replace that choice here in this space. So, and I do remember once a long time ago, I was the potential partner for somebody else. It was ending really, really nicely. And we were about 10 feet apart. And I actually turned to the facilitator and said, I'd really like it if we'd leave it here, because I want to enjoy the approach with her in the days to come. And I felt like if we'd done this, we would have been stealing something from whatever I was representing. Like, the approach was part of what was being looked forward to. So just some thoughts on this. So I want to leap into practice now. Really good themes, by the way. And I also want to say, I have very strong opinions based on years and years of experience, so take it very seriously, but in the end, do it your way. There's enough breadth of practice and experience out there. That's one of the reasons why I always recommend you see different people, go to conferences, go to different workshops, and you'll go, wow, I've never seen it done that way before. That seems a little extreme, but it balances out something I've been on the other end of, and I didn't know I was on an end. I just thought it was the way it was done. So in the end, you'll choose what's right for you. Okay, so that goes to your question guy or anyone else who might be more inclined to a slightly different way of tackling this stuff. And it will be right for you and your client. No? Okay, or right enough. I'm a big fan of the word enough. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to split into groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. 5 groups of 2. Get out your little figurine things, your thimbles, your spoons, your stones, and you each get about 25 minutes with each other, okay? Any questions before? And this is really important. Try and be efficient with your interviews. Try and just get enough so you can get 2 or 3 representations and move forward. Because if you spend half your time on the interview, we want you to practice the constellation work. Just get enough, okay? Any other questions before we get started? Yeah, Jennifer.
25 minutes total with
per person.
Per person. Okay.
Okay. The rest of our time, basically. And I'll give you a heads up, and I'll visit people, and you can call for help if you need it, okay?
How do we call for help?
There's a little thing somewhere on your screen when you go into the group. You'll see the little help thing at the bottom. Not now, when you get into the group. Okay. A new toggle shows up. Okay. Breakout rooms. I'm trying to put Jack's stuff where he needs it. Move to breakout room 4. Let's see, and then wait a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, there we go. Okay. Jack, you've been assigned to one of the rooms. You see the toggle to go over there? I can't hear you, unfortunately. You're on the other something or other.
Hi, I don't have Jack yet.
Jack, can you hear us?
He's muted, or his phone's muted or something.
Yeah. He's probably muted on the other side. He hasn't, this is the problem with his having so many devices.
I don't get why it has to be like that. You can plug headphones into an iPad. So if he has an iPad for video, it should be able to handle the audio also.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the other room, see if I can find him. Jack, can you hear me? Your phone and your iPad are over in group 2. I don't know. You have an invitation to go over there. Can you unmute your phone at least and speak to Amy? Can't hear you. Have you heard him yet?
I heard a little bit of echoing when you were out of the room, so I'm guessing that 463 thing we heard a little bit through it.
Jack, we can't hear you well enough yet.
Can't see him.
We can barely hear you.
Try one of the other audios, maybe.
Yeah, Jack, how come you can't bring the last device over? I've assigned you all to the same room.
I don't know, it's not accepting the...
Can you turn on the picture on one of the other devices or something?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can't see you.
Okay.
Can you turn the picture on your other device?
Your phone, it looks like, could have video. It doesn't.
It really is difficult to have so many different devices. And I'm wondering if for the last class we can get this down to one or two.
Well, the only thing is that, can you see me?
We can hear you, we cannot see you.
Oh, my. Come on. One thing is I don't have a camera on. Oh, and this thing is not responding. Come on.
Okay, so let's skip this. Amy, go ahead and leave. Oh, there we go. Okay, there you go. Excellent. I'll leave you to it.
Okay. Well, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So.
Long time ago. So that's maybe blocking me.
So Leslie, I'm trying to figure out the representations here. Jennifer would like a more certainness around knowing and feeling comfortable with what she knows and being able to execute on it. Jennifer, did I articulate that okay?
Yeah.
And so, and then I tried to see if there were other areas in her life that she feels that way. And she said sometimes socially, but not right now. But that has happened for a while.
Yeah.
You're on mute.
There are two ways you could go about it. You could go with that. Jennifer, what she knows. And see what the relationship between Jennifer and what she knows is. My guess that'll be interesting. The other approach would be to say, do you have any conscious guesses about a person in your family this is related to? And then bring that person in. So those are two quick and dirty approaches. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so
so I do have actually Playmobil figurines. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it better?
Let's see. Well, now I can just see his head.
Okay. Better?
Yeah, that way is better.
Okay. So I have white or yellow. How about I'll put some out and you pick the one that you... So pick one for you. Pick a representative for you.
All right. I'll be the green one.
The green one. Okay, this one.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll put you, and then I'm gonna put it for the guy who triggers you.
I like the red one.
The red one? Okay.
And choose someone then for your father.
Well, the bigger square one back there makes sense.
This one?
Yep.
Okay. And can you choose someone for your child?
Sure, the little white square one that you had your hand on before. Yeah, that one. No, no,
This
no,
one?
no, 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 no. Yeah, that one.
This Okay.
Whatever speaks to you,
It's
tell me that's the one.
the blue square, I guess.
The blue square. Okay. Okay. And then something with the project. So
But that green circle, I guess.
mm-hmm. And something that represents the obstacle.
About the star.
The star.
Gee.
Here?
Next to the, yeah, next
This?
to the green. Next, no, the other side. Yeah.
The yellow. Okay.
Starfish, I guess.
So let's see. Um,
she had to, it seems like, make you not confident, because if you were the best at anything, you could then use her strategy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So so Leslie, I'm going to show you what we have a little bit, but when I go away, you can't hear me. So this is Jennifer. Interestingly enough, is a couple of earrings that came together. She's one of a lost twin, so they came out as a pair, though. This is Leslie's mother, and this is confidence and knowing.
Jennifer's mother.
Jennifer.
I'm gonna bring my mother into it, right?
Yeah, right.
That'd be very complicated.
Yeah. So, yeah. So earlier it was just to kind of replay this. The mother was like this, completely blocking her.
I'm just gonna ask, do you have a question? Because I need to go to the other groups. You were just gonna show me? Yep. I'll leave you to it. You got a couple of minutes left if you're still processing, okay?
Yep.
Good job.
So you know what I think I want to try is I think I wanted to have you try to say something.
So here you are.
Mm-hmm.
And started rolling away.
That counts. That counts.
Huh?
Yeah. That may be
So,
significant.
huh.
So just, check in with your.
Yeah, I feel good about that.
Mm-hmm.
Couple minutes left, okay?
Okay, Leslie, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So, so this is is Melissa, can I will just say in general
go
terms.
ahead.
So, so this guy has something that Melissa, this is what Melissa wants, but this guy has it. Okay. And this is Melissa looking at the guy, this guy and this red thing. Red thing is what she wants. And I kind of want to just give it to Melissa, but it feels like I'm forcing it, or like.
Who is this guy?
It's say it's like male who has kind of like Melissa's power. I mean, we don't know.
An old boyfriend or
somebody from the family. We don't know for
someone
sure.
From the family.
Family,
okay.
Yeah, somebody important male figure from the family. Yeah.
So what I would do is step into the man
Mm-hmm.
and really feel into how attached he still is to that thing.
He?
Yeah, he.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And how, like, is he ready to let it go, or is he still really holding it? I mean, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And step into Melissa, like, is she ready to go over and take it? And those are the two sort of variables here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is attachment still to it and her ability to reach for it?
Mm-hmm. And if he's still attached, but she's ready to take it, can she go
Find some sentences.
Okay. I
mean, I don't know if Melissa needs to say something like, I respect your attachment to that, but it's mine.
Mm-hmm. And now I'm taking it back.
Well, I might slow down on the taking it. Let's let the respect sort of be felt first.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
Or you could bring in something for what is actually his, that this is taking the place of.
Oh, I see.
And give it to him. And then he might want to let go of this. Yeah?
Okay.
Work with it systemically. And you only have a minute or two left. So, I mean, unless you agree to go a little long on this one, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Be more at peace with this.
Okay.
with the fact that there is distance, and I cannot change that.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Let me ask one last question, and then we'll get going here. Was there a particular friend that your mother left behind in Spain when she, or rather in France when she moved to Spain?
The question is, what is the friend?
I'm saying, was there one friend in particular
Yes.
that your mother left behind in France when she moved to Spain?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, there was.
Two women.
Two women. Okay.
Yes. One, her name is Francine, and I'm called after her.
Okay. Okay.
The entanglement is there as well.
You know, you have a minute or two left for this. You can go long, but just to let you know.
Oh, okay. Well, we already switched, so
never mind. Carry on.
Yeah. We're on the second constellation. Okay.
I've never really been very family oriented. Like, we don't keep in touch much, and I couldn't name a single relative that in my family.
If you guys are planning to switch, it's nowish is the time to switch, just to let you know, unless you decide to go long.
Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay. So for me, health and vitality, and then.
Do you feel a sense of something blocking you from that, or just the
end here? But this may be a good point to to let the constellation rest.
Yeah.
Knowing that it'll continue.
Right.
It'll continue. So yeah.
So,
you need to switch over, okay?
Okay. Yeah, we're at a good point to switch.
Good. Thank you.
well,
Thanks.
thanks. Wow.
Yeah, that was the issue. It didn't feel right just to take it, because it felt like it's forcing it. And when this appeared, he's ready to let it go, so it was much easier.
Yeah, this feels good like this.
Okay. I think it's time to switch, right, Leslie?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay.
Right. So I too have
Vamos? Vamos. Vamos. Oh, shit. Oh. Vamos. Hey, you. Where are we going? What you doing? What you doing? Oh. beside me.
Okay, like this?
Yeah.
Is that too close?
No, that's good. I actually like it close like that.
Okay.
And I feel like we can move towards the My Little Pony.
But it's uncomfortable. Hi, Leslie. um, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that feels good. Mm-hmm. Melissa, we have 5 minutes, Leslie says.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that feels
dignity and strength.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can feel the guilt in my mom also dissipating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's dignity and strength, it feels like, for both of them in this movement. It's really beautiful.
Beautiful. Amazing. We didn't need myself in the constellation. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I think we can leave it here, yeah?
Yes, totally. Thank you so much, Kai.
Okay.
But there's, so what's keeping you from actually moving? Do we need an obstacle of some sort?
No, I feel like if you can take the shiny thing to New York and put it in front of those two objects, in front of it, in front, like facing. No, that's it. That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
Should
Yeah,
that
this is really good.
Let me ask you, should this be with the solid side up or the open side up?
The solid.
And is this a good, just too close enough or far enough?
Yeah, this is good. This is really good. Perfect place.
Okay, looks like people are back. Awesome. So, any shares, any questions, any miracle cures, any spectacularly wonderful learning experience failures? Guy.
Yeah, I had a couple of really wonderful experiences with Francine. First, just the work that she did in constellating for me. You know, kind of, she asked a really, felt like an incredibly, you know, vulnerable question, which was like, to start it off, she was like, because I wanted to work also, you know, on like partner, family, and all that, and she was like, well, what's more important to you, the child or the partner? And I was like, ah! Like, don't make me choose. You know, but you know, when I told her about like my particular family history, she wound up just working on my male ancestors, like the male lineage, and and we didn't even bring in the partner at all. And so at the end, she said, "Do you want to bring in a partner?" I said, ultimately, yes, I would want to, but this feels really like enough right now. Like it was a powerful healing movement to kind of reconnect me with that, my father's male lineage in that way, you know? And so it was just, that was really cool.
And now you're going to have to shave your beard.
No! No! No way!
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, if we can feel that sense of the chunk size of the piece and that's just so important, that we don't always feel like we have to do everything.
Yeah.
It's very good for your client's soul to do modest pieces.
And I'll just add one quick thing on the piece that I did for Francine. It was really wild to actually feel the field shift. I mean, here I am with these two little figurines and saying a sentence on behalf of one to the other figurine, and all of a sudden, like the whole thing, the field in front of me, which is just this little area in front of me, and, you know, just suddenly you can feel the shift. And it was like, oh my God, this is just wild. Anyway, so that was super cool.
Great. Good for you. Awesome. Yes. Jennifer.
Yeah, my constellation, oh, can you hear me? My constellation was really surprising. My mother showed up again for the 3 billionth time, but this time I got a sense of her experience. And I've never really gotten it like this, and it's shifted everything for me. And I had the sensation of all these puzzle pieces clicking into place, like a whole bunch of stories came to my mind, and it was just really astounding in such a short time to have this thing shift, I guess.
Nice, nice.
Wonderful.
And I'm always really, really glad for those of you who get some really nice work done, and for those of you who may have been clients for someone who was more in learning mode. I hope you find that valuable as well. Yeah. Any other shares or questions? Questions about that? Okay. So you know your homework. Do one of these for yourself or for someone else in the coming week. Find somebody, or you can do it for yourself, but, you know, I think it'd be useful. And the nice thing is that, you know, if you do it, the homework, then, you know, you're not limited to 20 minutes. You can allow it to unfold a bit more. Just a reminder that you can still, you have one more week to purchase a coaching session for only $90 if you haven't done that yet, or to purchase any of my other services for 15% off. If you're thinking you might want a constellation down the road or something like that, just connect with me about that. So I'd like to hear from just a couple of people. What is your main takeaway today? Our topics were the figurine work and the thinking systemically. So from 2 or 3 of you, Just what is your takeaway for today? Raise your hand if. Okay, Irina?
Yeah, for me, it was really about thinking systemically, realizing that how often I do not do that. Just that it's not to go to framework right now, and that I want to move into this more systemic framework.
One of the things that I've always found frustrating is like working on, conference stuff and other stuff with other constellators organizing gatherings and stuff, is that there's like, we put this framework on when we go into a workshop and then we forget it everywhere else. When actually it would be really useful when we work with teams or we're trying to put together an event and interpersonal conflict is starting to come up, and like to be able to look at it systemically. It's helpful, both in terms of working through our own triggers if we get triggered or upset about stuff, and also helping a team move along more healthily. So yes, I'm with you, Arita, both in terms of the work and in terms of all the rest of our lives. It's really, really useful. Another takeaway for the day. Yeah, Amy.
Well, I'm just thinking how like everything that happens is relevant to the constellation when you're working. So I was working with Jack, and hopefully, Jack, you don't mind if I share about this, but I guess for one reason or another, we ended up sort of running short on time, and I definitely noticed feeling anxiety about it, and then there was this and that and the other thing, and like I'm not used to running into like that many things that feel like, oh, something's not quite right, and but I realized that so Jack, I now that I've had a little bit more time to think about it, it's like, oh, all of that is part of your constellation. And it sounds like, well, duh, but it didn't seem like it at the time. It was like, oh, should we exchange phone numbers so we can talk after this and like continue the constellation? And oh shoot, the breakout room is going to close, and all these things. And it's like, oh wait, this is reflecting something more systemic. So
always, yeah. Especially technology is a surefire way to get a reflection on the system.
Yeah, and again, hopefully, Jack, you don't mind my saying, even like you needing 3 things to get plugged in here, there's something going on with that. So yeah, Jack and I think are going to talk some more and work some more. So
perfect. And notice how that like the anxiety we can hold about anything. If I can, the anxiety I felt about that relationship with my assistant doesn't fix things. But if I can say, wow, we're in each other's constellations, it does dial down the sense of it being personal a little bit. It just, okay, there's something up systemically. It helps. Okay, thank you for that, Amy. That was really helpful. Okay, guys, so we got one more week. Woo! So do your homework, and I'll be seeing some of you in the coaching sessions, and I'll see you all in a week. I will unmute you all, and you all can say goodbye to each other.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you, Leslie.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
I probably won't be here next week. I'll be traveling, and I'm not supposed to land at San Jose until about 5:40. And then I've got to deliver my son to his dad. And so if I can, would it be a problem for me to call?
Join us late if you can. It's the last class. We would like to have you.
Thanks. I will if I can at all.
Yeah, so. Even if it's the last half hour, we'll figure out how to plug you in at the end.
Okay.
Leslie, can I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
Next week is going to be about what?
My Microsoft Word document has that knowledge, not my brain.
Okay.
I don't remember. If you want to email me personally, I'm happy to let you know.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not that important. Thank you.
It will be amazing.
Okay.
Earth
last
shattering.
one. It's the last one. Thank you.
Okay, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Leslie.
Thank you.